So I need your feedback. How do you handle feedback when it's coming from a really tough manager? You go for a performance appraisal and you know for a fact that will have a laundry list of everything that you did wrong. My name is Ravi Verma. I'm the org whisperer at orgwhisperers.com. And I had the blessing, curse, or misfortune or fortune of working for a manager who had a reputation as a really tough grader and a perfectionist. And no matter what you do, this manager is always going to find 20 things that are wrong and that you could have done better. So, I'll tell you the story about this manager and how I had a breakthrough in the hope that it will help you. This manager is actually me. My inner critic is the toughest critic I have ever had to deal with in my life. And this became apparent to me as part of my coactive training certification. So I was attending training to become a certified professional coactive coach from the Coactive Training Institute. And part of my certification journey was that I would get recordings of my coaching sessions, and then the certification supervisor would listen to the recording, and then both of us would come prepared to the session where I would have my self assessment of how I scored on a scale of 0 to 10. My certification coach would come prepared and we'd compare notes. So my coach was Mary Ork, and I have her permission to use her name. So Mary, thank you so much for helping me with this session and the breakthrough and the impact you had on my life. So I remember I come prepared for a session with Mary, and I have my self-assessment, and I listened to the recording, and I had made a list of everything I did wrong. So I thought Mary is going to be like my inner critic, and she's just going to chew me up. So before Mary could say anything, Mary asked me, "Okay, Ravi, what do you think?" And I made a list of, I shared everything I did wrong, and I'm bracing myself. Here it comes, here it comes. And Mary asked me a question which surprised me, and she said, "Have you nothing nice to say about your session? Like, did you do nothing right?" I'm like, wait a minute, this is not going the way I expected it. I was expecting a beating from her. And she's talking about nice things. Is that allowed? Am I allowed to talk about that? And that's when she realized what a harsh inner critic I had. And she forced me to find something nice to say. And I thought, okay, maybe, I'll just say one thing and then she will unload on me all the things that I did wrong. So I just said something and I'm like, okay, here it comes. And she said, no, that's not enough. Tell me more. So she made me say a lot of nice things about my session. And she gave me a rating that was much better than the rating I gave myself. And in that session, I said, I am not a coactive coach. And she said, why do you say that? And I said, because I've not passed the certification. She said, that doesn't matter. You are a coactive coach. Say it after me. And I really struggled to call myself a coactive coach because for me, that was the pinnacle of accomplishment and I felt like an imposter. The homework that Mary gave me was to print out a cap or to order a cap which had coactive coach written on it and to put it on. And these actions, which is me referring to myself as a coactive coach and actually putting on a cap which had the word coactive coach, it may seem trivial to some, but this was a massive shift for me. I gave myself permission to appreciate everything that I knew, everything I did well, instead of withholding appreciation and permission for because of the mistakes I made or the flaws that I had. And instead of just focusing on everything I did wrong, I started traveling on the journey where I started practicing acknowledging and appreciating myself for everything I did right and the growth I had accomplished. So, Mary, thank you so much for the impact you have had on my life and for my on the lives of my clients, because when a coach is unable to break through some limitations, That limitation manifests in the coaching and it can be projected as limitations on the clients. So, the impact that a coach like Mary can have is not just on the client, but it has ripple effects on the whole ecosystem that the client touches. Um, my closing thought or question for you is, what are you withholding permission uh, to yourself for? Where is it that you are withholding your appreciation? And what kind of a boss are you when you conduct performance appraisals for yourself? So I hope this was useful. I'd love to learn from you how you manage challenges like this. And if you need a great coach, look up Mary Ork. Until our next conversation, thank you. Bye bye.